I have nothing but disdain and hatred for what horror has become. I have always been obsessed with horror and scary things in general. I have a fairly decent-sized collection of horror movies, both on DVD and VHS. I have consumed both actively and passively many movies, books, stories, and the like over my 24 years on this earth. I am filled with a visceral and brimming hatred, seeing what horror has become. The so-called horror community is nothing more than rabid mobs of children, being led around by slightly older children and of-age pedophiles who stand to gain financially from boring shit, which is as drawn out and haphazardly put together as possible. In the background, I have seen the rise and fall of horror fad after horror fad, and more it seems predicatable and more it infuriates me. I think what makes me angrier than anything else, aside from the fads, the trend chasers, the unnecessary codes of ARG elements, which are not actually ARG material, because they don't cross into our reality and are just codes to pad the watch time out. The slow burn bullshit which was first popularized by the shit show that was Paranormal Activity. The numerous spelling errors evident in every video made by a child who thinks the pinnacle of scary is when the television has a spooky face on it, and the litany of other sins that so-called horror creators and video makers are guilty of. The most infuriating thing has to be how high and mighty the retards who refuse to stop selling the same old shit are out their media of choice. The amount of times that I have been scrolling through YouTube and seen video after video sucking off the Mandela catalog, juxtaposed next to videos by the same people endlessly deriding urban spook for making something that they don't like, cannot be properly stated. For some reason, when video essays became the norm on this shithole of a website, and people began getting their opinions from fat slobs who speak with a gay voice into a microphone for Patreon dollars, every retard on this website as well as others began to think that the bullshit crafted by 17-year-old with a free copy of Da Vinci Resolve engine was on par with classic films with legitimate budgets made by masters of the craft. There are retards on this site who hold the monument mythos, Mandela catalog, and Smile takes in regard as high as movies that Craven, Carpenter, Hooper, and Romero made. These retards who believe that true fear arises from when a face looks a little weird and when there's a really long shot on an empty room with no payoff whatsoever need to be expunged from the record completely. I will never understand the hate against Urban Spook, because he was able to make something so viscerally upsetting to such a large audience that people will be bitching about him for years to come. Back in my day there was a genre called Grindhouse. A Grindhouse flick is a movie meant to be gross, weird, upsetting, etc. A very famous movie that is considered a grindhouse flick was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a movie that is so well loved that it got many sequels, a remake, more than one video game about it, and people still love quoting Chop Top from TCM2 to this day. Anyways, that movie was made to be bombastic, over the top, and eye-catching due to its shocking contents because Hooper and the rest of the crew thought they would be drafted and sent to Vietnam if they didn't make a successful movie. This is a true story. They say as much in the commentary on the Metal Case edition that I have. Another fun fact is that those dead animals in the movie are real dead animals, and all of those bones are real bones that Robert Burns crafted into strange sculptures. He would find people with dead horses and pay them so he could take the bones, and he would pick up Roadkill and use those bones when he could. Also the blood that you see in that scene in TCM2 when Lefty kicks that wall is a bunch of lamb guts from a slaughterhouse. As a matter of fact, most of the blood in that movie is real animal blood. These movies are gruesome, but they are classics. They were shocking at the time. To the uninitiated, they still are. They deal with cannibalism, murder, sexual undertones, retardation, grave robbing, several topics that are disturbing to think about. Urban Spook deals with an ongoing story of a man actively taunting authorities by continuing to get away with his horrendous crimes. He tries to turn all of his killings into works of art by painting them. This is a very similar subject to a movie that constantly gets sucked off the Poughkeepsie tapes, which is a movie about a serial killer who got away with it, who videotaped himself murdering, kidnapping, and torturing people. One of his victims is found alive and is so mind-broken by it that she fucking kills herself. Then he fucking digs her up and steals the body. That movie gets sucked off on video essays to keep its memory alive. But this jackass, who mentions that some fake kids who don't exist died or got molested in a fake world that doesn't exist and are merely characters meant to disturb or frighten you, who again I need to add, do not exist. This man gets ostracized and swarmed by angry mobs of children who are directed to swarm this man by their limp-wristed pedophile overlords who make money off of controversy and clean mascot horror. This is the mental retardation that the so-called horror community is faced with on a daily basis. You people make me sick. Have you ever been afraid? Have you ever been truly afraid? I turn on the news late at night and I see things that are scarier than the vile you fuckers fell in on a daily basis. I look out my window and I see it with my own two eyes. My mind runs a million miles a minute, and I have realized that the truest fear known to man is not some fucking retarded story of a big squid out in the farthest reaches of space, or some retard with a stretched smile, or some robot furry with a dead body rotting in its wires. No, what's scary is what's real. When your back is to the wall, when it's past midnight and no one else is around, when there's no one to call for help and you are gripping the only thing you have to keep you safe tight, when your knuckles are white and you're fighting to stay awake and you hear a noise out there, down the hall, right outside the door. That's fear, and the only way to replicate that real isolation, that real, true, honest terror is to mandate a return to the technologically primitive, by comparison days of just a decade and a half ago. I don't give a damn about what the kids these days think is scary, because they've never truly been scared the way we all were in my days. If you were to take any over-socialized, technologically retarded, brain-rotted degenerate from the modern era and sit them in a house stripped from them all pieces of technology which can connect to the internet or phone they're friends with, and then give them a horror movie, any movie, provided it's from before the digital age, and then tell them to turn the lights off after watching it and go to sleep, they will be awake the entire night. They will have nightmares. They will hallucinate strange creatures and slashers at the end of their bed, and they might even piss themselves out of fear. Also called communities have fallen to the AIDS that is propping up boring and uninteresting bullshit to prop up the professions of retards, pedophiles, and over-socialized half-wits. The endless filling of shit that is not scary, that cannot be made scary, does nothing but line the pockets of people who care about nothing but their wallets. To the video makers, the jackasses with cameras and video editing software, I offer you one final message. You are not an artist. You haven't made anything which will stand the test of time, and your fame and fortune are both fickle. If you slip up once, your rabid fan base of teenagers and retards will eat you alive.